children who are deaf or hard of hearing. Most recently, she brought her expertise to SUNY, Stony Brook University, before stepping into her newest role as ASHA's president-elect. Her story is one of leadership, mentorship, and community. Dr. Rosa-Lugo, it truly is an honor to have you with us today. How does it feel to be back with the Hispanic Caucus?
The truth is I've never left. Uh, I mean, one of the things I think about is that how it was instrumental in actually starting my involvement with ASHA. It was one of the first groups that I ever belonged to, and I rest on the shoulders of those who really created the Hispanic Caucus and saw the need to have a place, a space where many of us could grow and network with each other. And over the years, we've really supported each other in the same way that Mbazla also served that same, function. So as I tell you, I never left. I'm always in the ebb and flow of what's going on with the Hispanic Caucus.
Absolutely. You're still such a person that we reach out to. And so, yeah, you always have a place here at our table.
Thank you.
And as ASHA is celebrating 100 years this year, and the next century begins with you as its first Latina president, how does that feel?
Actually, it's sort of overwhelming sometimes, but I'm honored and energized to take on this role, especially as ASHA enters its second century. It's a proud moment, but one that also comes with a lot of responsibility, and I recognize that. Currently, we see many communities that are facing really challenges, a lot of challenges. You see it in the news, from harmful policies and rhetoric to systemic neglect.
Mhm.
So leading ASHA now, or being in that position to be a little bit visible, means supporting those whose voices are often ignored. I think it's an opportunity to ensure that our field continues to promote inclusion and dignity and access. And I recognize that this milestone isn't about me. It really isn't. It's about everyone who has ever felt invisible in our system. It's also, for me, I think, the biggest honor to recognize those who came before us. I mean, it didn't start with me, and making space for those who are going to be next. So, my focus in taking on this new role is to support the growth of our professions for all members, with a special place in my heart for those who are in the Hispanic caucus.
Oh, wow. That was heartwarming. Thank you so much for your words. Is there anything that's making you feel, oh, I guess what's making you feel the most excited? And then if you don't mind sharing, what makes you feel a little nervous?
Um, I think what excites me most, and I'm looking at three screens here, so if I'm going this way, it's not that I'm ignoring, but it's very hard to look at all these screens, but I'm paying attention. I think what excites me most is the opportunity to serve as a visible role model, and not just for Latinas, Latinos, but anyone who's ever felt unheard. And taking on this role shows that leadership can really mirror the diversity of our communities.
Mhm.
I think what I'm most vulnerable about, I I hear it here in the Hispanic caucus, and I've also had this conversation with other members or mentors actually. It's a little scary to be the first in anything. And I think being the first holds significant importance. And I want to be recognized as deserving, not just of the title, but I
Yeah.
think the trust that comes with it. So, I don't want to be the first, but I do want to be um, the catalyst for making sure that all voices are heard, because I'm just as connected to many of the multicultural constituency groups. My students, my former students, who are now alumni. But I do understand that this moment represents, I guess, the hopes of a lot of people who have waited a long time to see themselves in leadership. And believe me, we have so many talented Latinos in our profession. And every once in a while, I'll peruse the journals and who's writing and who's doing what in different campuses. And I'm very proud of that. And so I'm hopeful that I will be able to elevate um, those people who are really doing innovative things, because it's really important as we go into the next century. So I think it's a major responsibility and I take it very seriously. So what makes me the most nervous, I think, is I hope I do a good job. And that's, from the heart. You always think to
Yeah.
yourself, people are looking. So I hope I say the right things. I hope I do the right things, because at the end of the day, just like anybody else who, just had a lot of opportunities and availed myself of that. Um, so if anything, I think that's what makes me the most nervous.
Oh, I can only imagine. It is a huge responsibility, but also such a platform that you have. And I think we're all so grateful in hearing your reflections, because we're starting a new century. And so in this difficult time, having that voice that you carry just really helps us bring this historic moment as part of, like you said, not just an individual, but as a comunidad, a community. And so I
Right.
think that's super exciting. Um, but before we get into more of the deeper conversation, I would like for everyone that's here to tell us how they like to drink their coffee. ¿Cómo toman su café?
Oh, so
And I saw a
cute.
lot of people holding up their mugs. I love that. So, as we think about coffee in Latin America, I'm going to pull up a poll so that everyone can participate, and then we get to see the results together. It should be popping up on everybody's screen. Okay. And as you're thinking about the coffee of your choice, I will just go ahead and talk a little bit about what you see on the screen right now. We have some Café Cubano, of course, from Cuba, bold, sweet, and full of energy, perfect for anyone who loves strong coffee and a good conversation. We have Café Colao from Puerto Rico, rich, aromatic, and made with love, often called the coffee of the abuelas. We have Café de Olla from Mexico, brewed in a clay pot with cinnamon and piloncillo, earthy spice, warm, just like our gatherings. Y mi tía, she likes to add some clove to hers. Then we have some Café Tinto from Colombia, simple, black, and shared throughout the day. Coffee as a daily ritual. We also have Café con leche from Spain and Latin America, smooth, comforting, and it's just a classic start your day right type of coffee. And then Café Cortado from Argentina and Spain. Strong espresso with just a splash of milk, which is small but powerful, just like all of us here. Okay, so I'm going to give everyone a little bit of time, but Dr. Rosa-Lugo, you have to tell us, how do you drink your
I like café con leche. I really, really like that. However, I was raised on café colao
coffee?
with my grandmother from Puerto Rico. I laugh at the way that the picture is depicted, because in hard times, um, the coffee, el colao, she used
Mm-hmm.
to use sock to filter the coffee,
Uh-huh.
because we didn't have, that particular item there.
Of
And
course.
so, and she also used to make coffee with chickpeas.
Really?
So she was very innovative in trying alternative ways to make sure that there was always coffee on the table. So
Always. I love it. No, and
either
I
way.
honestly, it was interesting because when I was doing my research and looking through all the different types of coffee, Café Colao was one that I'd never heard of before. But
Oh
then
my
just
gosh.
realizing how deeply rooted it is in, heritage. And like you said,
Yes.
a lot of people from Puerto Rico have that memory from the abuelas, right?
Yes.
In that cafe. Okay, so let's see what we all thought, and I'll share the results. And I think people agree with you. Café con
Wow.
leche is the one.
Wow.
Love it. All right.
Let's see, I think what it is, that's the more calmer way of drinking coffee, because if we were to do café cubano or tinto, we'd be flying throughout the day. It does make you a little bit hyper.
Uh-huh.
They are all good. They are all good.
All right, let's see. Okay. So now, before again, we get into those deep questions that our members sent in, let's do a little bit of a rapid fire cafecito, this or that. Okay. This is so that we get to know the more personal side of you. And really, I would like for everyone to take a part of this in the chat. There's going to be two options. And I want everyone to just pick what comes into their mind first. Whatever your gut tells you, pick that one. And then it will cover anything from bilingualism, mentorship, advocacy, leadership, of course, Puerto Rico, and coffee. Are you ready, Dr. Rosa-Lugo?
Yes,
All right, here we go.
yes.
Let's see, café con leche o café negro? You tell us. Do you mind saying it out loud?
I put it in the chat. I don't know how you wanted that.
Oh, you can just say it. Everyone else
Yes.
can see the chat. You tell us.
Okay.
What was your choice?
Café con leche.
Café con leche.
Con
Yeah.
leche. Okay, there we go.
We have a lot of café con leches in the chat too.
Awesome. Okay, here's the next one. And tell us, Dr. Rosa-Lugo, which one? Speech session in español or in inglés or English?
I'm going to cheat. I think it's great to be bilingual. So whatever the client needs, that's the way I'm going. So I'm not going one way or the other. I even code switch. So I have no problem either in Spanish or in English.
Love it. What is the chat?
And that's what we're also getting in the chat. Lots of both code switching, ambos, Spanglish.
I love it. Here comes the next one. Let's see. Mofongo o arroz con gandules?
That's cruel.
Arroz con gandules. I'm a rice person. Arroz con gandules.
In the chat.
Mofongo, arroz con gandules. I think it's like a split
That one's
decision.
a 50-50.
What is mofongo? Someone wants to know what mofongo is.
Patricia, someone's got to tell her what mofongo is.
Would you like to do the honor?
Oh, of course, and you have to pick on me. Mofongo is actually made, and I always think of mofongo, to be very honest with you, associated with Dominican. And I think it's just the love of plantains, but it's cooked with plantains and it's smashed and sometimes beautifully covered with beans or a sauce. I like camarofongo, which is shrimp on the mofongo. So it's garnished different ways, but so I hope I answered your
That was
question.
perfect. Let's see.
Yeah. We also have casamiento from El Salvador and bandeja paisa from Colombia.
I love it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. All right.
I'm getting hungry.
It is lunchtime. So mentoring students or mentoring colleagues?
Wow. You know what? Either. But I have a heart for students, and I always have had a heart for students. And I guess it's because I'm very blessed to have been surrounded by people who believed in me. And so it's important for me to pay that forward. Now, don't get me wrong, my students may not like that because they always say that I voluntold them to do something, but that's okay. That's okay. They're doing good.
I love it.
I like Brenda's answer, mentoring colleagues, because they then can influence more students. I like that.
And I think the next couple ones that you'll see is going to be very similar. One can influence the other just the same. All right, let's see. Salsa night or quiet morning cafe by the beach?
Okay, I don't want to give away my life too much, but it would have to be salsa night. My mom was a dancer, and when I was young, she would put on shows, and I would go to the nightclub, and I would also do the shows with her. So they used to call me La Princesita del Twist because at the time, now I'm really giving my age, right? The twist used to be and I have these pictures that I hide because I said I don't want anyone to see them in the costumes that my mom used to put me in. So, salsa night. I'm not your quiet morning cafe by the beach. That's too quiet for me, unless I'm dancing.
And the chat, Paula, what are we thinking?
I think we've got a little bit of both. Salsa night, salsa. Someone said parque, so going to the
Mhm.
park.
Love it.
You could do both at the park.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And dancing is just so therapeutic. It's just such a good way to shake it off and really feel.
I just like music. I
Yeah.
love music.
All right, here we go. More representation in leadership or more
Wow,
practice in care?
that's a hard one. Um, I I I think both. I think both. When I think about representation and leadership, it's how I consider leadership. So there are students that I know that are in leadership, they're just unrecognized or no one knows what they do. And so that's why I'm always pushing them. Let's make you more visible and more access and care. I feel the same way. Both are needed, just like Michelle Dawson. Both desperately needed. Absolutely.
Mhm. The chat, Paula?
Yeah, they're
Both.
saying both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, both. Both one can enable the other. Good leadership promoting advocacy for
Mhm.
access to care.
And that's kind of what I was getting with this one is like, yeah, the more leadership that we have too, the more representation, it's going to directly affect
Trickle.
that access. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, we need both. Changing systems or changing hearts? Another tricky one.
I think they go together, to be honest with you. I
Mhm.
think that not that we can always change hearts because some people are going to be, who they are. But I do think that if you're a good listener and that you're passionate and consistent and willing to hear other perspectives, that changing hearts sometimes helps with changing systems.
Mhm.
And the other thing is changing systems requires collaboration. So you have to work as a team, and I think that that's a good combination. These are not easy.
There's only one more. And is the chat very similar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying both, changing systems, systems you can change, small steps.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And here's the last one. Bad Bunny on repeat or quiet cafe and reflection.
I'm all about Bad Bunny, sorry. I think um, looking at what he has accomplished, whether you like the music or not, to be very honest with you, but Benito is on fire. And for
Yep.
me, anyone that lifts the island of Puerto Rico or any place that they call home and do a concert that had some real meaning in terms of why he chose to do that on the island as opposed to on the mainland, really requires some respect. So that's just my opinion.
I second that opinion wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and I think everyone on the chart in the chat is saying Benito.
But I like Erica. Erica said, and then quiet whenever possible. I like that.
After the celebration.
Yes, yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. So now we have some time. Thank you for answering all these questions. I know some of them were a little bit, not tricky, but they took a little more thought and thinking.
Yeah, it takes time to
Mhm.
think about it. Mhm.
But these are really going to be our deeper questions. And so what I'm going to do
Uh-oh.
now is I'm going to stop sharing the screen so we can all just have a conversation. And then we'll go back since I have a little bit more for us to look through. But during this moment, I would love for people to raise their virtual hand if they feel like they want to add to the conversation. And again, keep posting your questions in the chat. Okay, so the first question, Dr. Rosa-Lugo. As ASHA's first Latina president-elect, you're making history and inspiring so many. How do you envision using this platform to expand representation, not just among the clients that we serve, but also within the ranks of SLPs, audiologists, and future leaders in our profession?
So I view this opportunity as a mirror and a megaphone. And I think I've said that before, because I'm really excited to reflect the diversity of our communities and amplify all voices. So that's the microphone there. Expanding representation. So we know that that just isn't about increasing numbers. It's about shifting culture. And I think that that's really important. It means creating spaces where multilingual professionals and individuals from historically underserved communities and backgrounds feel welcome and seen and valued and heard. And I would like this to be an opportunity for me to highlight pathways into our profession that recognized lived experiences. I have these little bullets of words because not sentences, but I want to get the words in. And cultural knowledge and linguistic diversity, I want them to be seen as assets, not as barriers. And I think sometimes they are seen as barriers. That includes mentoring. I think that mentoring is extremely important. And storytelling, tell our stories and share our experiences so that we are building community. I always say that community is extremely important. And advocacy. I think that we have really focused on the importance of advocacy that affirm identity and affirm belonging. I think also, and there was something that was said before, challenging systems, doing it in such a way that really focus on individuals that have been excluded or voices that have been minimized, and replacing them with structures that focus on equity and inclusion, words that we are not always allowed to use lately. But representation has to be really visible in leadership. It has to be visible in clinical practice and in the way that we prepare and support the next generation. So if we want our field to really reflect the communities that we serve, we have to really start by believing that every voice belongs. And so I know that I'm talking to the Hispanic caucus, but when I mean every voice, because I always say that even our monolingual SLPs, they have a place at the table. And that is extremely important because we have to work together and support each other. And that allows us to build accordingly. So I'm hoping that, having a platform that really expands representation across settings, across practice, across backgrounds is really important for the professions. And we talk a lot about speech language pathology, but I'm one of those who loves audiology because my background has always been working with deaf and hard of hearing individuals. So it's across the professions.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think it was a beautiful response. And one of the biggest pieces that we often find are missing is the representation, yes, but the spaces. And you brought that up. Creating these spaces where everyone can be included and belong in order for us to find that pathway. I think for at least in underrepresented communities, we oftentimes don't get to certain levels because we don't know what is possible. We don't know that it is possible for us. And I think you being in this role, along with the rest of your colleagues in supporting that, can really start to or continue to pave the way for everything that's already been built. So that was a beautiful.
Leslie, I appreciate that. I have to tell you that I work with a board that talks about these things, that find that it's important. I don't want to point anyone out, but the ASHA president is in the house, as we say. And I have to tell you, there has been no better mentor in the conversations that we have about the students, about alumni. We promote our professionals, our colleagues across audiology and speech language pathology, and we engage in actual heartwarming conversations about how do we do this better? How do we ensure that we're addressing the issues that come up, in social media, so on and so forth. So I think it's really important that I recognize that I happen to work in a space that community building is extremely important, and having that different expertise at the table. So you have audiology, you have private practice, you have, and I just am very grateful to have that opportunity. And I'll publicly thank Dr. Mayfield-Clark for being that person who is being my mentor, as she is the president and I'm president-elect. So thank you, Dr. Mayfield-Clark.
Thank you for being here, Dr. Mayfield. And I see Dr. Salas-Provance as well in the room. Also,
Yes,
yes,
she's coming
of
on. She's
course.
coming on the board. And let me just say something about her. I don't want to, when I first entered the space of the Hispanic caucus, she was actually one of the first faces that I saw, along with Dr. Luis Riquelme. I mean, you have a cadre, and I think that's why it's so important. I pay attention to your webpage, and so I think I do, because it's so important that we recognize, and I'm going to say this word, and I say it respectfully, our elders, and that's what I mean, who came before us and who saw that the importance of creating a space where we were able to meet together. And that's why I love the multicultural constituency groups, Asian Pacific Islanders, the Native American, and Basla. Those are different spaces that were created, not just for persons with the same language or racial background or ethnicity, but also practice. People used to tell me, well, I can't be in the Hispanic caucus. And I said, well, why not? No, I don't speak Spanish, or I'm not Hispanic. And I said, do you work with children, Latino children in the community? Oh my God, my caseload is 75%. Well, then that's where you belong, because that is what creates community. That's what creates space. And so I always felt it was really very important to recognize those who came before me. And so I want to recognize those individuals who created the Hispanic Caucus and really continue to look at it as a place of community.
Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it, of course. And I'll just say, I loved it when it was said that we don't even know what's possible. Because I remember in 1992 in San Antonio, Texas, being in a room and looking up and seeing Luis Riquelme and Alexandra Heisen-Combs, and I was in the very back of the room, just went, wow, can we do this? Really, can we do this? And of course, 35 years later or so, we've done it. We've done it.
Absolutely.
It's all possible.
It is.
Yeah, it takes community, and it takes commitment, and it takes vision. It really takes vision. And so as I'm looking at this board here, this on Zoom, I look at the faces and where you come from. Sophia, who also served as president. We've always found a way to connect and how to do things better. And so I'm very grateful to this space.
Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Salas-Provance, for your words as well. We are so grateful that you're here with us. Next question is, you've mentored countless students and professionals throughout your career. What guidance would you share with early career clinicians or graduate students who want to work with multilingual and multicultural communities, particularly those who have been historically underserved? And I think you addressed this a little bit when you talked about people having over 75% of their caseloads being Spanish-speaking children. So can you just deep dive into that particular topic a little bit more?
I want to preface it by saying I came in at a time in a profession. I always consider myself a teacher first. I grew up in New York City. I was very instrumental in working with the creation of bilingual special education in the city of New York. So that's where I really became enamored of working with, at the time, right, as terminology evolves, limited English proficient. And I always used to say, what are they limited in? You know, that was my headspace. And I remember when I moved to Florida, I had a colleague who said that LEP stands for language enriched pupils. And I said, that's it. I love that idea and how it's evolved over time. And so I had excellent, once again, mentors. And I remember thinking to myself as I went from teaching general education, bilingual special ed, and then I got into the area of deafness. And to me, that was another opportunity to deal with linguistically different individuals who also could be Spanish speaking and deaf and use sign language. So I always had this love for language. And then to be very honest with you, I was a young child who received the services of speech language pathology when I was younger and didn't like it. I felt singled out. I can remember the exercises that I had to do. However, I happened to meet someone that said, you know, with what your experience has been as a child who received services and your love of language, what better way to incorporate that? So I ended up then returning to school after my doctorate for speech language pathology. So I started out that way and I ended up that way. And the best thing that I could say, if you're a student or early career professional who wants to work with multilingual and multicultural communities, I have a list. I always have a list. So this is my bulleted list because I think that the work is powerful because it's not just about providing therapy. You know, it's about affirming identity. It's honoring culture, and sometimes, you know, going against barriers, you know, that the barriers that are challenging. So I would say for students, get involved. You know, I've always said how important NISHLA was for me. Join your campus NISHLA groups or national NISHLA. I have to tell you, some of the students that I have seen at national NISHLA, they blow me away. I learned from them. You know, new generation, so they want to do things differently. So of course, I'm okay saying, listen, I don't know how to do that. Could you show me how to do that? So really joining NISHLA, I think, not just joining, don't just show up and breathe. I'm talking about being active, you know, go to the meetings, ask questions. Yes, I want to be involved on, you know, on the board. And they do a lot of really good things to raise money for different groups. So that's one of the things. Connect with faculty members. I have to tell you, faculty members love students. Well, 99.5 of them love students. Let me just say that. So find your mentors that are engaged in work that resonates with you. So I was always that student that said, what are you doing? And they said, oh, here comes this pest. But, you know, I wanted to know, you know, what are you working on? What are you, you know, and the smallest research thing that I could do, can I collect data? Can I give out flyers? Can I mean, something that's little, and I do that in my research. So I have done research where I have bachelor level students, then the master level students, I have a doctoral student, and each is mentoring the other.
Yeah.
And what they do in research or whatever has an impact on the next level. So I think connecting with faculty members, and I think students love to be around faculty and shoot the breeze because we're real people. You know, we
Yeah.
have our ups and downs, and I think that it's important that they see some of the challenges and also some of the beauty of our profession. Say yes to opportunities, to global opportunities. So for example, I did a lot of study abroad opportunities for my students to Costa Rica, El Salvador. I did one of the first ones to Puerto Rico. Till this day, I hear from my students, that some of those opportunities were like children. I don't have children, but their children are my grant babies. What does that mean? I wrote grants. And so they would send me pictures. This is your grant baby. And I said, oh my God. So really study abroad and do exchanges. And by the way, exchanges don't have to be out of the country. It could be to another campus or just being involved and seeing other institutions and what they're doing. Conduct research or say to yourself, I want to do an independent study, because faculty really do like to mentor students. So if you notice a gap, investigate it. And I remember really one of my first study opportunities was trying that ended up with a publication, Decisions Hispanic Families Make After the Diagnosis of Deafness. I always remember that because I had the opportunity to meet families and talk to them about what are some of the real challenges that they had. By the way, be part of the solutions. Ask how I can help. Sometimes I get students that they complain. I'm not that person. Okay. I listen to you and then I say, okay, give me 2 solutions. It's it's very easy to complain. I have a lot of complaints, but I really say, okay, I'm hearing you. Give me 2 solutions. Okay. And be part of that. Search for grants, internships, special opportunities. They provide access to new skills, to mentors. Join your state association. I think that's so important. Each of us have a state association, and I have to tell you, it allowed me to expand my network, join the multicultural constituency groups, go to a meeting. Hispanic Caucus, I'm not taking anything away, but sometimes in ASHA, they're right next to each other. Go and introduce yourself. Oh, I worked in Chinatown in New York City for many years. So, I had an interest of working with children from different Asian backgrounds. And the state association, I got so involved and I became, it was Florida Association, so it was FLASHA. And I ended up being one of the board members. So that's how I really honed in on my leadership skills. And then for early career professionals, volunteer with ASHA. I know that sometimes there's not enough room in ASHA for all the people that might want to volunteer. But one of the things that I'm very excited about is the development of these micro volunteer opportunities, so that you may not have 2 or 3 years to be on a committee, but you might have 6 months to be on a committee on something that you feel really excited about. So when you see those, volunteer for those. You're not always going to get picked, but you will have that opportunity. There are people here who have served on these committees, and once they see your work, the one thing that I will tell you is I look very closely at who's volunteering and what they're doing. So if I see that you're at the table, that you're discussing, that you come prepared, I'm good. If I see that you're at the committee and 95% of the time you're texting, that's a problem. Okay. So I'm going to be as transparent as I can be. We have a leadership development program. It's a year-long journey to hone your leadership skills. Look into that. Look into developing the leadership development program. We are always in awe of those who come out of that leadership development program, because they have a lot of opportunity to do different things, and networking is so important. There's an ASHA Leadership Academy where there are resources and webinars and opportunities to develop. And then just in general, listen carefully. Sometimes learning is incidental. And so you may not, so for example, I think when I received an email, it was Paula, an email, and then Leslie. But when she called, I noticed that her background is listening and spoken language. So I said to myself, I wrote an email to her and I said, I need to know about your background. Why? Because I'm always looking for people, because it is a specialty area that very few people have. And so, I was very impressed that she would take that opportunity to do that, because that's above and beyond getting her certification for ASHA. When you're listening and spoken language, you have to do so many um, hours under the mentor of another person who has that, and that comes out of the A.G. Bell Academy. Stay curious and humble. Uh, use your voice. To know that you might be the one at the table who advocates for equity, and find your people. Find your people. You're not alone. I have to tell you, and I'm going to go back to Dr. Mayfield-Clark. One of the things, and we have not had this discussion, but one thing I always knew about her, I would go to the conferences and stuff like that. We didn't know each other, but I guess she saw something in me other than, being a lovely person. But every time I did something, she recognized it. She sent a little card, or she would come up to me and say, Linda Rosa-Lugo, and compliment me. So, you'd be surprised who's watching and who's looking at the expertise you have or how you express yourself. So I'm always very grateful to her for that. And know that your story matters, your presence is powerful, and that you belong here. You belong in the profession. So I just want to say that we need each and every one of you, and so do the communities that you care about. So that's my response.
I hope people took notes, because you just gave so much knowledge and really a lot of information that I feel we needed to hear. But at the same time, it's keeping that curiosity open, right? Saying yes to opportunities and making sure that you continue to keep that curiosity so that you can then challenge what is happening, or you can make a change in that way. So I know I myself took a lot of notes, and I'm going to go back and watch the replay, because there's so much within what you just said that I feel like we can all leave with today and we can apply tomorrow. So we have time for one more question, because I do want to close out with something fun for you.
Okay.
As you step into this historic role as ASHA's president-elect, what are some key changes or priorities you hope to see within ASHA in the coming years, especially in relation to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and culturally responsive care?
Just to be brief, I would say to shape in some way the next century. That's a lot. I'm not going to be here another 100 years. That I'm going to be very candid with each and every one of you. So I would say inclusion is really important to me, and courage to be the persons that change the profession. And when I say change the profession, there are some things that are great about our profession, but the landscape is changing. You will see such a focus now on AI and how that would change, our professions, and the world of work and how we show up. We used to be face to face all the time, and here we are online. And that was, when I was being prepared, that wasn't always an option. And I would say collective impact, not just me doing something individual, but being able to reach out and say, Felix, because I see Felix online here too. We work together, and Deborah Knox is my colleague at UCF. And anytime that I think about change, I think about the conversations she and I had when she was my partner in doing the UCF Listening Center. I knew her from nothing. She interviewed, she came to UCF, and it just so happened that we had the same background in deafness. And I said to myself, okay, here's my partner. And we created, this listening center. She was the clinic director, and I was the program director. And so I just think it's really important that we really think about collective impact and how we each bring something to the table that we might not have had had we been, doing things by ourselves. I would say one of my key priorities, and that's my little note here, is to continue expanding ASHA's commitment, and I'm going to say the words, to diversity, equity, inclusion, and culturally responsive care. And those are not separate initiatives. They are really, it's foundational lens through which all decisions are made. And we may think that that's not true, but it is. I don't know that we can get away from that because each of us brings something to the table that's inherent in how we were raised and how we see the world. So I think that moving beyond awareness and action, and what does that mean? I just envision ASHA as a place where every member, can contribute and feel seen and heard and empowered to lead. That our policies continue to reflect our values and honor the communities that we serve. It's really not about representation, and I've always said this. It's about transformation, and that is Dr. Mayfield-Clark's legacy and her theme is this whole thing about how each of us are transformative change agents, and how together it's sort of like can be a crescendo to move ASHA forward. So I'm ready to walk forward with all of you to make it real. Some days will be good days, some days will not be good days, but I do hope that one of the skills that I do have and is important to me, and it comes from working with deaf people, is I listen. I may not always agree, but I do like to hear the perspective of different individuals. And I hope that I can incorporate that in some way when I'm at the table with my board members and the staff of ASHA. And of course, as I go to state associations or come to a place of community, that I can take notes. My notes are very important. Sometimes I'm sitting at the table and I'll say, well, wait a minute, one of the students said this. And so let me, interject here. So I think that that's one of the things that I hope to share. So now let's
Loved
do
it.
something fun.
I will say you received a lot of love during your response for this particular question. Lots of hearts and clapping hands, and really recognizing that we are stronger together. Each
Yes.
individual, we need to find our own fire, like you said, and through all of the other wonderful ways that you said we can do that in the previous question to this, but recognizing that as a collective, we are stronger and we can move forward, and always having that vision of moving forward. Let's see. Like you said, we're ready for something fun. Making sure. Can I get a thumbs up, Paula? Looks good? Thank you. All right. So let's finish out with a check-in to see how we are all feeling. ¿Cómo nos sentimos? This was a wonderful hour with you, Dr. Rosa-Lugo. We are so happy and proud of you. And so let's see. You're going to see 6 pictures of different music icons. And so at the end, there'll be a poll, and we can all choose how we're feeling today. ¿Cómo nos sentimos? Okay? So se sienten como Bad Bunny, revolutionary and bold, energized, outspoken, ready to challenge the norm. Tal vez como Celia Cruz, joyful and peppy, uplifted, vibrant, and full of sazón. Carlos Vives, radiant and rooted, optimistic, spreading warmth and lifting others with your energy. O Selena, hopeful and empowered, motivated, shining with confidence, and dreaming big. Tito Puente, rhythmic and playful, fun, in sync, and ready to collaborate. Y por último, Vicente Fernández, reflective and proud, feeling grounded, nostalgic, and connected to your roots. Okay, let me pull up the poll. And in the meantime, Dr. Rosa-Lugo, can you tell us how you are feeling today?
Oh, this is terrible. This is terrible. I love Bad Bunny, Celia Cruz, Salsera, Carlos Vives. I just love him. Selena, I love her songs. Tito Puente. I mean, what more can I say? And Vicente Fernandez to me is history and pride. So if I had to choose one, I'm gonna say Vicente Fernandez. I think proud and reflective of what we've accomplished, the people that I work with, and some of the initiatives that we have in store, and just how I feel a little bit hopeful, like Selena.
I love it. You took a little bit of each one. That was perfect. Okay, let's see what everybody's thinking. I'm going to share the results now. Selena, about 57% of us are feeling like Selena today, empowered and hopeful. Love it.
Como la flor, you see
Como
what I
la
mean?
Me encanta.
That was tough,
Thank you
yeah.
all for participating. There is a QR code on the screen, so you can please scan that and give us some feedback. You all, again, at the heart of it, shape this cafecito and help us continue to move forward. So we look forward to hearing from all of you, what you thought about today's cafecito, and then, yeah, we're going to continue. But Dr. Rosa-Lugo, what an honor. What a pleasure was to have you here with us today. Paula?
We want to get a picture of all of us together before we leave. And then we also had, didn't we have 2 more slides to share?
We have a couple more slides, if that's okay, Dr. Rosa-Lugo, just a couple of announcements.
That's
We
fine.
just want to
Okay.
share, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so let's do some announcements now. Okay, so I am super excited to tell all of you about our t-shirt campaign with Bonfire. We have a campaign going on. It's going to be Comunicación Sin Fronteras, or Communication Without Borders. This is going to be our
Nice.
design. You can choose from 4 different colors that are vibrant. The campaign starts today. If you order by October 30th, then your t-shirt can arrive right before ASHA. So that would be awesome to see everyone wearing our Hispanic Caucus t-shirts and joining together as a group. Everyone will get access to the slides, so you can get the code at the end, or you can scan the QR code now. And then Paula, I'll let you take over the next announcement.
So, we also want to hear from you, from our ASHA, from our Hispanic Caucus members. If you are presenting at ASHA, whether it's a seminar, a technical session, a poster, or you're getting an award, please let us know. We have a QR code. It's also, I believe it's on our website as well. It's on our social media. So just let us know so we can share with the rest of the members your presentation.
Great.
And the deadline is November 10th, just so we have enough time to put the information together.
Excellent. And then lastly, right here.
And we're also going to have our social hour. We've got lots of, we're very excited about it. We have a sponsor. Parallel is sponsoring our meeting. And we are also going to have, we have lots of donors who donated lots of resources. We've got some really good ones. So please come and join us, spend a little bit of time with us. It's a little late for coffee. Maybe you preferred a different preferred beverage, or if coffee doesn't do anything to you at 7, bring your coffee. It's 7 to 8. I don't know if we have a room yet, but it should be on the ASHA, what do you call that? The calendar when you look up the sessions.
And then we'll also be sending email updates. So please sign up for our emails. And then if you want to check out our partner Parallel, they put out free CEUs for all of you. And so they are wonderful. And that's really it for today.
All right, picture. Let's get a picture before we go. So if you don't want to turn your camera on, that's okay. But if you can turn it for just a second, maybe 5 seconds, and then we get a quick, and I think we might have to take 2 because there's many of us, so we have like to do 2. I can take the picture too. Let's see if I can do
All
here.
these beautiful people. How could they
Oh, I
not want to
love
take
it.
pictures? Look
Oh,
at just gorgeous. I love this.
all right, we're gonna
So
go.
you think I didn't see you? I see you.
All right, 1, 2, 3, big smiles. Hold it. I'm gonna do another one. 1, 2, 3. All right, beautiful. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. This was really fun. Thank you, Dr. Rosa-Lugo. We appreciate your time. This was
See
fantastic.
you at all at ASHA. Make sure you go to the student places, and there's just going to be a lot of different things. Put your flat shoes on, your sneakers, whatever you do, but hope to see you there.
Comfortable
And by
shoes,
the way,
yes.
mine is next year in Indianapolis. So don't think that just because you went to DC, you're not going to Indianapolis. Please don't leave me there by myself.
No.
We will be there to support. Thank you so much, everyone. Stay tuned. Our next cafecito will be in December. And remember that at the end of the day, it's not just about coffee. It's about connection, encouragement, and our comunidad, more importantly.
Okay.
you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, ciao.
Ciao. Buen fin de semana.
Leslie, I'm going to stay on for a minute, and Paula.
I will, yes. There we go.
Inés is
Okay.
also part of our
You did an
radio.
excellent job. I love those little tidbits and excellent job.
Oh,
Excellent
you
job.
did amazing. I seriously, I cannot thank you enough for, let me just